Did you grow up with an alcoholic mom or dad? Are you realizing that your experiences as a kid are still affecting you today? Can you never shake that nagging feeling that you're stuck and you need to heal from those experiences so you can move forward in your life? I see you and I get it because I was there too. What if I told you that there are many lies that you were taught as a kid that may still be with you today, and that breaking free, healing, and creating the life you want begins with identifying those things you learned as a kid that simply are not true? Over my own 18-year adult child of an alcoholic healing journey, I've discovered these powerful lies that were instilled in me as a youngster that I held in my heart as truths when I grew up and became an adult. These lies influenced how I lived and prevented me from healing. When I realized they were lies, I was then free to take the next steps in my healing journey to create the life I want. Hi, I'm Jody Lamb, author and educator. I help other adult children of alcoholics to heal. If you are ready to start your healing journey, get your free healing guide at the link in this video's description. So are you ready to discover the top 3 lies children of alcoholics believe? Let's dive in. First, it's important to note that believing these lies is completely normal. Children of mothers and fathers who are alcoholics grow up thinking and behaving in certain ways. It's because children absorb everything in their environments. In other words, we are completely normal. To learn more about all of that, check out my other videos on adult child of an alcoholic syndrome. Learn more about why we are the way we are and why we grow up believing many lies and then live our adult lives the way our brains were programmed to as kids. Lie number 1. It's your job to take care of other people. Are you always the one everyone in your family and friend circle and at work run to for help? Do you find yourself always taking on other people's problems as if they are your own? Don't you hate feeling like everything's always on you to fix? I totally get it because I was like that until about 12 years ago. I felt fully responsible for my parents, especially my mother, and all the problems that were tied to her substance use disorder. From age 7 or so, I felt it was my duty as the firstborn daughter to clean up all the messes, figuratively and literally, in my family's life. I took on the role of my parent for my parents because they were both totally ill from the effects of my mother's addiction. I organized and cleaned the house. I reminded about bills, and I apologized to everyone who witnessed or was affected by my mother's out of control drinking problem. I practically raised my little sister. I was the stable figure in her life. As I grew older, that sense of responsibility carried over into pretty much all of my relationships. I couldn't imagine being any other way. I had become a martyr, and it felt familiar and comfortable. I was needed and loved. But the sad truth is, being this way was slowly killing me. I was so busy with other people's problems and needs, there was no time or energy left over for me. I wasn't even living. I was living my family's big messed up life. The lie that you are responsible for other people manifests itself into powerful codependency. It's wildly powerful. Codependency gives you a strong sense of purpose. Even when you complain about being the responsible one in all of your relationships or the one everyone goes to for help, you continue to do the things that are not your responsibility simply because you long for that sense of wholeness. You long for that sense of being needed. Taking care of everyone and everything gives you an unhealthy, warm and fuzzy feeling on the inside for a bit. But in the end, you're likely harming yourself and the people you're supporting by continuing to believe all of that is your job. The truth is that your only job in life is to take good care of yourself. That's it. Of course, if you have children, You are responsible for them when they are young. But you are no good to anyone, even your kids, if you are failing to care for yourself. You are not responsible for your siblings, your parents, your spouse or partner. You are responsible for just you, for your well-being. This truth is difficult for us children of alcoholics and those who grew up in other types of dysfunctional environments, such as with a narcissistic parent. Codependency is deeply embedded in us. When you truly live by the truth that your job is to take good care of yourself, decision-making is way, way easier. You have to protect your time and energy and ask yourself hard questions about what you give your precious time and energy to. Before you agree to do or not do something, ask yourself this powerful question: is this good for me? Of course, sometimes it's important to give to others, but what I'm talking about is the above and beyond responsibilities stuff. Adult children of alcoholics are ridiculously good at taking on other people's problems and responsibilities, usually without even being asked to do so. So stop that. Set boundaries and stick to them. It is not easy to say no to people who ask for help or people who expect you to do it because you always have. But it does get easier the more you do it. Lie number 2. It's our fault when people we love get addicted. Did you grow up thinking that you caused your parent to drink too much? They may have even told you that lie directly. Perhaps as an adult, you find yourself surrounded by other people who suffer from addiction, and you wonder it's something you do or don't do that leads people to become addicted. Adult children of alcoholics tend to be like magnets for people with substance use disorders. We are more likely to marry alcoholics, and we are known to blame ourselves for our loved ones' problems and behavior. The truth is, you can't cause, control, or stop another person's drinking or drug use. Addiction has nothing to do with you. It's an extremely powerful, often fatal disease. Addiction alters a person's brain, and unfortunately, it seems to afflict the most wonderful of people. It's not fair, and it's extraordinarily sad. I spent all my childhood and young adult years believing that I wasn't good enough of a daughter to convince my mom to stop drinking and get help. I knew my mother loved me, but her unpredictable behavior was extremely confusing. I felt it was my personal responsibility to be a great daughter and do everything I could to fix her so that she and our family could finally live happily ever after. Unfortunately, back then, I had no education about addiction. I had no idea what was happening to our family, and I felt I was repeatedly failing at that lifelong quest to fix her. And that made me feel like a failure as a daughter and as a person. My self-worth plummeted, and I felt like it was all my fault that my mom, dad, sister, and I continued to suffer through the effects of my mom's addiction. Fortunately, finally, I got educated about addiction and what was happening in our family. I learned that I couldn't control or cure my mother, and I, most importantly, realized it wasn't my job to do so. Then I began my healing journey to create the life I love today. Lie number 3. You're destined to repeat your parents' life because the cycle of addiction continues in families. Are you always worried that you'll end up like your parents? Do you fear you'll fall into addiction, or that you'll always be knee-deep in similar problems with money, relationships, careers, etc.? Do you feel like you're failing to live up to your potential and that the life you want is impossible? Maybe you feel you have too many issues and emotional baggage that you can't create the life you want. Well, I get that because that's exactly how I felt. I cried about it often when I was in my 20s. I had lost all hope for my future, and it felt like a life sentence. No one had any idea I was so depressed because adult children of alcoholics are great at pretending everything is A-okay. The truth is, please hear this. Your destiny is in your hands, regardless of what you experienced as the child of an alcoholic. You can and you will create your own great life as an adult. You have the power to heal from those past experiences and stop the damaging cycle of addiction in your family. Please don't be one of those people who takes the crippling mindset that you were simply dealt a bad set of cards in life and that is that. I stopped believing this lie when I met so many children of alcoholics or people who had experienced various levels of dysfunction in their childhood, people who had it much worse than me as a kid, and then grew up and created absolutely amazing lives, the lives that they want. The odds were very high that these people would have the same lives as their parents, but they refused to let that happen. No matter what point you're at in life, it's never too late. If you put the time and effort in to heal and grow, you can create the life you want, the kind of life you deserve. This begins with identifying the lies. Stop and think about the beliefs that you might be holding on to as truths that are actually lies. Question everything about your life and how you think and how you live. Remember that life can change in ways that you cannot even imagine today. There you have it, the top 3 lies children of alcoholics still believe as adults. If you're ready to start your healing journey and create a path to a life you love, please get that free healing guide that's linked in the description of this video. And continue your learning by watching my next video. See you there. I am so rooting for you.